we're recording.
G'day. Today I'm just going to make a
Remember to look at
rack of lamb.
Remember to look at the camera this time.
Look at the camera. I'm going to make a rack of lamb and with some simple vegetables and a little hint on how to make perfect roast potatoes every time you cook them. So we'll start off with the roast potatoes because this whole thing should take about an hour once you've chopped everything up and got it going. An hour and a quarter. So the first thing I'm going to do is peel the potatoes. Some people cook roast potatoes in their skin, but you'll see why I peel the potatoes. Because what I do is I parboil them to get them ready.
What's that noisy thing?
Well, I've got a gas oven that's got a regulator on it. It's very difficult to boil water on the gas stove. So unless I had a commercial gas plate, I boil the water first electrically, and it just saves 20 minutes in time. This would usually be a meal for two. What I'm about to do is put these into hot water with a bit of salt. You can see they're medium potatoes. I've just chopped them into quarters. If you've got a big potato, you can chop them into eighths. No? But the idea is to get them crisp on the outside and nice and florally and soft on the inside, fluffy and soft on the inside. So we'll start by waiting for that to boil. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to halve some tomatoes. I'm going to sprinkle those with a little bit of salt and pepper, and we're going to bake that in the oven at the same time as to make them sort of like part-dried tomatoes, just with a little bit of thing on the top. If you have a bit of basil on them, it would be very nice. I don't think I've got any basil, but I'm just going to put salt and pepper on them. You want to keep the baking tray from having hardened on roast drippings. The easiest way to keep them nice and fresh is just to pop them on a baking paper, because the baking paper won't burn, and at the end of the day you'll have a clean plate when you just remove the paper. So there we go. So there's some tomatoes. We have the potatoes to put on there, and then we have the roast lamb. This is actually a roast lamb that's actually Frenched. The French means that they've taken all the fat off it, chopped the bones a little bit, but it makes it really delightful. The only thing you can see is that little bit of sinew over the top, and when we cook it, it'll be pink on the inside and nice and tasty and crusted on the outside. Bring that to the boil. A little bit of salt. I quite often chop these in half again. That makes them more bite-sized. But it's really whatever your preference is. Either way, they'll come out very, very nicely. Okay. So bring that to the boil and simmer that for 5 minutes only, and that'll be parboiled. A parboiled potato is 5 minutes simmering. Always makes it easier when you're cooking. Cheers. I'm just going to break the broccoli into florets and steam them. We'll steam them in for about 12 minutes or so over simmering, It depends on one's taste. Usually 10 or 12 minutes, and it makes it still nice and firm. If you're boiling it vigorously, you could probably do it in about 6 or 7 minutes. But we'll see how it comes out. Potatoes haven't boiled yet. Oh, we've got some time on our hands today, Stephen. I'll have another sip. It's quite nice. Well, there go. Potatoes are boiling. Put the timer on for 5 minutes. And that's it. Usually when you boil potatoes, you boil them with the lid off. If you've got very low flame, you can boil it with the lid on, but usually with the lid off. And after 5 minutes, we'll strain that off. I'll show you how to make the perfect potato roasted. Okay, she's boiled.
So that's been in for 5 minutes at
5
boiling.
minutes and it's boiling, so I can turn that off now. Let that cool off a few seconds. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to stick it into a plastic bag, get a good quality olive oil, and you don't need much olive oil, but the idea is to coat the whole thing off. The easiest way to coat it off, is to pop it in with a bag. Slap it with about 50 ml of oil.
Give us a look in the bag.
Just a good splash of oil. Good splash of oil. Not a lot. You just saw what I did. Just went splash, splash, splash. Give it a twist. And now give it a shake. You get all the oil coating the potato. Now that she's unravelled, I'll spread it over here. Now it'll look a bit mushy. Don't fret. See how it looks a bit mushy? That's because the edges are sort of have been frayed. The idea is...
And during that stage in the bag, you could stick in herbs and all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, you could put in salt and pepper, you could put in herbs. I actually prefer just to cook them and then spice them later on. But you can see how it's good. Don't be worried about the look of them and the fact that the edges are a bit frayed off. Those edges are what's going to become the crispness of the potato, and so therefore having rough edges and scored edges is good. And that's a perfect potato. We stick that in the oven at 200 degrees for about an hour, and the reason I cook it at 200 degrees is because that's the ideal temperature for the potatoes to coat and crisp. When I make the lamb, I'm going to cook the lamb for about 25 minutes to 30 minutes at 200 degrees instead of cooking it for 45 minutes at 180 degrees. And that's just because of the constraints on the oven. So in she goes. We're doing that for about an hour, but I'll set it for 30 minutes. My little cleaning lady's cleaning up.
Ah, you're so old-fashioned.
Yes.
Okay, the buzzer's just gone, so that's the half an hour's been. I'm just going to show you. This is the halfway point for the potatoes. See how they're just starting to crisp up, and also the tomatoes are now being par dried. So we'll cook those. Now I have to now prepare the meat because that's going to go in for about 25 to 30 minutes at that temperature. You really should dry the meat off and always have it at room temperature. So if you've got it in the refrigerator or you come back from the butcher, your meat's usually quite cold. You have to leave it for a couple of hours or until it comes to approximately room temperature. Otherwise it won't crisp up. I'm just going to wipe that off. We're going to prepare that by putting a little bit of very, very simple garnish. We're just going to put a little bit of rosemary over the top and a bit of salt and pepper, and it'll cook beautifully. I'm just going to pull the potatoes out and see if I can fit it on the one tray. If I can fit it on the one tray, it'd be good, but if I can't, I'll have to use it on two trays. Oh, pretty close.
Looks like it fits to me.
Looks like it fits. Okay. So we'll put that in. I'll spin it around this way so that it's the back end of the oven. A little bit of more even heat. And in she goes for another 25 to 30 minutes. I'll do it for 25 minutes and then we'll see how that looks. Okay? And in the meantime, I'm just going to pop the broccoli into a steamer. If you're in a hurry, you make the florets a little bit smaller. But that should be okay for us. That looks like about 7 to 10 minutes would be okay for that. So I'll wait now I'll put that for 25 minutes. So in 20 minutes I'll put this on. Hi, we're just coming up with about between 5 and 10 minutes to go. So I've just got the broccoli on the boil, and that's basically just in the steamer. The water's now boiling. That'll go for about 7 or 8 minutes. You can see that the potatoes are really cooking up really nicely. The meat's still a bit soft, so the meat's still quite rare. So I'll just stick it back in there. We've had the meat in for 35 minutes. For 35 minutes. It's now looking a lot darker. I'm just going to pull that out. I'm going to rest the meat for 5 minutes or so. So I'm just going to rest the meat for 5 minutes or so. And in the meantime, I can put the potatoes back in there. They look, although they're done, because they're nice and thick, they can probably stand and stay hot. So I'll just leave it in there for a few more minutes. That's the veggies.
Cat's waiting for the food. He's got his own seat set up.
Yes, little Leo. Now for the unveiling. Chop that into 3 pieces. There's a go. Bon appetit.
Okay. So potatoes. When you get close so you can hear the crunch.
Crunchy?
Yeah, very good.
There you go. Okay.
Pussy, are you ready to eat? Okay, how do I turn it on?
Voila.
Well, I want to have a bite first.
And now, bon appetit. And here's to you, darling.
Very good.
Okie doke. That's a wrap. A pussycat? Down you get. Chop.